The OLED Nintendo Switch doesn't have a pen-tile screen. The new Nintendo Switch OLED model doesn't have a pen-tile screen. That might not mean much to you, and it wasn't something we were able to confirm definitively during our review process other than to say that the screen is a huge improvement. Which it is. But there's been speculation ever since the OLED Switch was announced that its panel might use pen-tile technology, which could have had big implications for image quality. Nintendo devices don't tend to have the best screens, after all. Pen-tile is a trademark owned by Samsung that refers to various sub-pixel matrix layouts most commonly used in OLED display panels. In casual conversation, or as casual as conversations about OLED sub-pixel layouts can really be, pen-tile is now essentially shorthand for not full RGB, meaning that red, green, and blue sub-pixels are shared between pixels rather than each pixel having all three colors itself. Almost all OLED screens in portable consumer devices use some form of pen-tile sub-pixel layout these days. The benefit of pen-tile displays is that they're cheaper to produce and can last longer. The downside is that they're functionally lower resolution than an equivalent screen with an RGB stripe, which means you can sometimes see artifacts like dithering and graininess, particularly in high-contrast situations like reading text. The effect lessens as pixel density increases. Personally, pen-tile stopped bothering me on phones when 1080p OLED displays became commonplace, which is to say that I didn't like the Galaxy S3's panel, but was fine with the Galaxy S4. A 7-inch 720p pen-tile screen on a Switch, then, would probably have been in problem. And Nintendo is not known for securing the best screen technologies for its devices. Witness the 3DS, where some models randomly came with much better IPS screens than the regular TN LCD panels, with no indication as to which you'd get until you opened the box, so there was reasonable cause for concern over the Switch OLED model. Well, turns out there's no need to worry. My personal OLED Switch pre-order just arrived, so of course the first thing I did with it was take a macro photo. Here's what the screen looks like up close. This is a white area of the screen, so all the subpixels are lit up. The layout is actually a little unusual, with columns of blue subpixels next to smaller, alternating red and green ones rather than arranging them in uniform RGB lines. The Apple Watch does something similar, and I'm not sure what the advantages of this layout are. It presumably relates to the relative efficiency of each color. But what matters is that, as you can see, each and every individual pixel is made up of a single red, green, and blue subpixel, or in other words, you're looking at a full RGB display with the same resolution for all three colors. For comparison, here's the iPhone 13 Pro. You can see how the subpixels are arranged in a complex diamond layout, alternating blue and green on one line and red and green on the next. On displays like this, each pixel is comprised of fewer subpixels compared to LCDs and RGB OLEDs that reserve three specific subpixels for each pixel in the screen. The green resolution is actually higher than the other two colors. As I said before, it's not really an issue on devices with such sharp panels, but the image quality can break down when pixels are visible to the naked eye. It's not necessarily a big surprise that the new Switch went with RGB. The original PS Vita had an RGB stripe OLED display 10 years ago, but you never know with Nintendo. There just aren't that many 720p OLED displays of this size these days, or RGB OLED displays in general, so it was certainly an open question. Anyway, glad to clear that up. Now I'm off to play Metroid Dread.
Where to buy the Nintendo Switch OLED, from Best Buy to GameStop. The Nintendo Switch OLED model has now launched in the US, but the console's availability is very limited at this stage. For those who are not aware, this latest edition of the handheld device is only an incremental upgrade over the original version, rather than a true next-gen successor. It has a more stable kickstand, increased internal storage and inbuilt LAN port, and, a headline attraction, a larger screen with organic light-emitting diode, OLED, technology. This last point essentially means that you will benefit from a superior picture quality with sharper contrast, deeper blacks and more vibrant colors. For more details about the various improvements, read our coverage here. With the Nintendo Switch OLED model being a brand new release, it is inevitably quite hard to get a hold of at the moment. To help increase your odds of procuring the hardware, Newsweek has listed the best places to look below. Best Buy Nintendo Switch OLED stock. At the time of writing, the Nintendo Switch OLED edition is sold out at Best Buy. However, there are various product pages set up for the handheld, and we would recommend that you keep checking the store page just in case there is a refresh later today. In general, retailers like Best Buy coordinate their console drops for PlayStation and Xbox hardware on a fortnightly basis, although this precedent has yet to be set for the Switch OLED. As we mentioned in our latest PS5 restock update, many outlets will be stockpiling their supplies in the lead up to Christmas as well, so it might be difficult to place an order before November. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at Best Buy. GameStop Nintendo Switch OLED stock. One of your best bets for getting a Nintendo Switch OLED model right now, for its recommended manufacturer's price, is probably GameStop. The retailer was one of the few US merchants that actually took pre-orders for the console earlier this year, and they still have designated product pages listed on their website. At GWise Deals will be monitoring for any surprise restocks taking place over the coming days, so it might be worth following them on Twitter and switching on notifications. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at GameStop. Amazon Nintendo Switch OLED stock. The Nintendo Switch OLED edition is listed at Amazon. While the retailer's own units are currently out of stock, you can purchase a few second-hand models if you are willing to pay over double the recommended manufacturer's price. That being said, we would advise that you hold off until the next official restock so that you can get a fairer deal. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at Amazon. Nintendo Store Nintendo Switch OLED stock. Of course, you can always try Nintendo's own official storefront when looking for a Switch OLED model. There are multiple bundles listed on the website, but most of these are currently unavailable. Still, if anywhere is going to have an early restock, it is probably going to be the console manufacturer itself. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at the Nintendo Store. Walmart Nintendo Switch OLED stock. Walmart does not currently have any Nintendo Switch OLED editions in stock, but there are a few accessories for the console such as carry case bundles. There is a chance that second-hand units might later become available on the Walmart website, as it does host third-party traders as well. If this happens though, be prepared for those units to be considerably overpriced. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at Walmart. Newegg Nintendo Switch OLED stock. Similar to Walmart, you can expect second-hand units of the Nintendo Switch OLED model to start popping up on Newegg's website eventually. However, bear in mind that these will be sold by scalpers and will therefore be listed for extortionate costs. If you are uncertain about how much a Nintendo Switch OLED model should set you back, everything that you need to know is available here. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at Newegg. Target Nintendo Switch OLED stock. Target has not been selling the Nintendo OLED yet and does not have any product pages currently up for the portable device. That being said, it never lists any items that are out of stock. For example, if you look for the PS5 or Xbox Series 10 on Target's website, you will not be able to find any record of them being traded, despite the fact that the retailer does indeed sell both consoles. The same applies for the Switch OLED, so even though you cannot see it right now, you should keep checking from time to time, especially today when there could be day one restocks. Check Nintendo Switch OLED stock at Target. Newsweek has affiliate partnerships. If you make a purchase using our links, we may earn a share of the sale.